I would like to call to order the June 6, 2017 meeting of the Old Town Planning Board. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the January 10th, 2017 meeting, last time we met.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Dave?
Yes, sir.
Item 3 is a site plan application for central equipment for a 5,250 square foot equipment maintenance garage at 45 Dempsey Greaves Lane, tax map 14, lot 17A, case number 1528. And we have a representative for the applicant here. Would you like to?
Sit here, stand, or?
If you want to sit, that's fine, whichever works for you.
yeah.
Oh, whatever. So I'm John Whitten, Jr. with Plymouth Engineering, engineer on the project, and the applicant is here in front of you if you have questions of him. Basically, the project is a new maintenance shop just across from the existing central equipment shop, in the area of the Sargent Corporation property off of the Dempsey Greaves Lane. And basically, this property now is just a storage yard, a gravel pad with some trees in the back. This part of it's wooded as well. So they would like to just put a building on top of that gravel pad, have this as a way to just maintain and fix and prepare equipment inside that they currently fix outside. So it's not even to get more business potentially, it's to just move some things inside that they do outside now. So basically it's just a through bay process here, enter on one side, come out the other, and then they're proposing a 20-foot kind of a lean-to roof on the back, open roof for outdoor storage of some materials. So looking to service this with a well, just to keep construction costs down, public water connection, and then connect the sewer to the private pump station that's right on the property, and then overhead power and electric, and any other overhead services for that. We're meeting the requirements of the setback from the front property lines and the side setbacks. It's not big enough to warrant any DEP permits for stormwater or construction, and basically we're just here for the site plan approval. They're hoping to get going on construction very soon. So.
Where's that drainage pond out there in relation on that map? There's a little pond out there. Is that off that parcel or?
I can kind of show you where it would be.
Yeah.
The bearings down there. The pond is actually, there's a little underpass, there's a pipe here that goes underneath. The pond's further down here on this parcel.
Right.
Down that way.
That's not on
So-
your property.
It's adjacent to some property owned by Stillwater Heritage. The parcel we're talking about leasing would be this piece right here. And Stillwater Heritage owns some up here, and three sides of the pond. I think there are actually probably a few owners that abut it, and Tim Folster may even know better than I do, but I think there may be one or two other abutters on that pond.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to
Sure.
get
Yep.
it situated. I remember where that was, so.
Right. The drainage area comes, I guess kind of this way through the university fields.
Right.
And then as more accumulates from the university fields and works any runoff, we might have Sergeant Corp, Sergeant School, and well, now it's a community center, and the other properties here. It all trickles down and feeds that pond.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any other,
I think that's pretty much it. We'll just field questions.
pretty much a steel building,
Yep, steel building.
pretty straightforward?
That we have building plans in the packets, I believe. If not, we
Yep.
do have
No, we,
one to show you.
I didn't, did you see anything unusual about it? It seems pretty
No, it's
straightforward to me.
one thing that I'll just bring up. I talked with both water, sewer, where they're going with a private well for this. It's gonna be just a minimal fee from the sewer department, it's just a blanket, I think it's $78 quarterly.
Okay.
Because they have no way to meter it if it's not coming from the water department, but the water department has no problem with a private well being there. So, which is, you would probably draw the minimum amount of water for your charges, which $78 is the minimum fee for the sewer department anyway, so it's basically just a wash, but they had no problem with it being
And-
serviced by a well.
Again, not having scrutinized the plans, intensely, but I'm assuming the water is just for, your incidental use and maintenance and then a restroom? or-
Restroom.
Yeah, there's a single restroom proposed.
Yeah.
He's looking to have 2 or 3 employees in that
Right.
building.
So it's not,
very,
yeah,
very
so
minimal.
not gonna be a huge impact, either way, so.
And the water supply, it's a long ways away for the existing water supply that's on the site now. You'd have to cut the road, go through a big parking area or equipment storage area, so it makes sense to put the well there.
Well, especially for minimal needs that
Correct.
you'll have. We are required under a site plan review to go through the findings of fact, and without objection, I'll read down through them, and we'll discuss those, and then have a vote at the end, if that's okay with everyone. Number one is the utilization of the site. The plan for the development reflects the natural capabilities of the site to support that development. Don't think there's any concern about that. Traffic access and parking. There's only one, central, white sign is there, right?
Right, it's a,
And basically, they're the only other ones using that road beyond Sergeant's.
Sergeant Court, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Pedestrian circulation. The plan provides for a system of pedestrian ways within the development, but the general public will not be generally traversing that.
Unless it's one of their customers and they're with
Right.
them.
Stormwater management, the site is currently designed to handle stormwater runoff. There's no proposed new impervious area. So I don't see any issues there. Erosion control, there is an erosion and sediment control plan that has been prepared on sheet C3. There will be minimal disturbance. I'm assuming this is a slab,
Yes.
foundation. So should be minimal impact on, as far as
Yeah.
ground disturbance. Water supply provisions, we've talked about a drilled well. And as you understand it, Dave, the hooking to the city water supply would be way more expensive.
Very expensive and very disruptive to that entire site for people coming and going.
And as you mentioned also, the development is provided with a method of disposing of sewage, which is the city sewer system, via a pump house that belongs to,
Well, Sergeant Corp installed that.
okay.
We typically have letters that come from the different various departments. I understand you put it in your letter, and I get that.
Yes, and Steve Lane was out of town, and Dave Smith did come to my office, and I have a copy that he signed
Okay.
in here.
Just from my own opinion, I liked the way Plymouth Engineering did you receive and do you agree with the mitigation stuff on the letters that they sent out?
Yep.
I don't know whether or not that meets our requirements, but certainly going forward, if that's something that everybody else liked the looks of.
Kind of use
like
that
they-
as a format for,
Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought, but.
Well, they can
it-
set the case out and then they just sign it.
Right, they set the case out, then, they send the letter, and it reduces the redundancy a little bit and helps, I would think it would help Dave to be able to meet that, like, we need to know that they know. So if we had the signed and dated version of that back, which is not in our packet, but.
no. And as I say, Steve Lane was out. I did talk with his office as far as well versus the public water.
Yep.
So that letter's kind of moot because we're not drawing off the.
Right.
But I did get Dave Smith from the wastewater to come, and I do have a signed copy in my book.
Okay, so I don't know what anybody else thinks.
But no, we can definitely,
But I
Well,
don't,
that does make
from a format
sense.
standpoint, and it doesn't, I didn't really know when to bring this up, but I
No, it's
felt
fine.
that it was a nice
So then,
format. and-
yeah, you're proposing that future applicants would
Yeah,
basically
take a
sit
look
there.
at
try to
that.
utilize that.
Yeah, I like, it's easy and simple to understand.
I would think that-
It
puts
doesn't
the onus
require
work
the
on
other
them.
departments to write a
Correct. To
letter.
write
and-
another letter and go through what, most of the time is not an issue. And this is a good example of one where there is an issue only from the standpoint of it has a private well, that letter wouldn't work. It would be easy for whoever the department head was to just write on it saying, not gonna be necessary, private well on site, sign it, boom, done. So for me, that would have been.
And the same with the fire department letter, and I did talk with,
Correct,
I talked
yeah.
with the fire chief O'Malley, and he also took a ride out. I went out and did a site visit. He also went out and looking at the equipment that they have that's going back and forth over this gravel pad, it will definitely support a fire apparatus.
Yep.
If, God forbid, needed.
So I just thought they'd throw that out there.
Okay, well, that's, I think that's a
No, that's very good.
good point to be made, and thank you for coming up with that innovation. Number 8 is findings of fact. Utilities, the development is provided with electrical, telephone, and telecommunications service adequate to meet the anticipated use, and all utilities are identified on the plans. Natural features and landscaping. The landscape will be preserved in its natural state insofar as practical. The building, the proposed building is within the interior of a developed site, so there's no real need, in my view, to worry about preserving natural features and landscaping.
And the large stand of trees that they reference behind there, those are staying there, so it gives a good buffer from
Yeah.
your budding property.
Water quality protection, there are adequate provisions to protect water quality and erosion, that sort of thing. There's no proposed uses that, on the site, that will adversely impact groundwater. Hazardous, special, and radioactive materials, I'm assuming radioactive is not something we would be seeing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And as far as hazardous and special materials handling, just solvents perhaps?
Solvents, oils, we capture them now and we haul away from time to time.
Yeah.
on the site.
Okay, so there are plans to do that. You have those facilities in place now for your existing?
We do.
Yeah,
It's-
so
it's-
this will be new, in addition to that. I'm assuming these things. Please
Yep.
correct me if I'm not right. Shoreland relationship, there's no shorelands other than that small pond which is off the site, and a little drain. There's just a little intermittent brook there that
Right.
you will protect from any adverse impacts. Capacity of the applicant, there's a financial statement within the application. Any issues with that?
The only thing I would say with that is, thank you, Plymouth Engineering, for making the statement, but that means nothing. Because, you could say that about anybody, anytime. I don't have any issues with the applicant. I don't feel that we have a capacity issue, but I think going forward, we would certainly want to get something from the third party. If there is a line of credit, then the proof of the line of credit would have been the sufficient thing to add to it, so which removes the question. So that'd be my recommendation on that one.
That's my fault. I had a copy of it, but the copy I have isn't the most recent one. It's 2015.
Yeah,
So
that wouldn't work.
technically,
Yeah,
it's the same line of credit, but
Okay.
the date isn't right, so I didn't bother bringing it.
okay. I don't have any issues. I mean, this is a well-known applicant, so I don't have any problems, so.
And of course, the primary issue would be that an applicant would start a project and then in some way the city might be liable for cleaning it up or taking it over. So that's why that finding of fact is part of the ordinance. Solid waste management, I'm assuming you have existing on-site dumpsters and that they will serve this facility as well. And you have existing solid waste disposal
So,
procedures. As far as historic and archaeological resources, well, Can't think of any. There's an old VZ Railroad out behind you, but I don't think that's in that level of historical significance, at least not yet. There's no known historical significance to the site, and I'd certainly agree with that, other than the old VZ Railroad. Floodplain management, the site is not located within a floodplain. Exterior lighting, the proposed lighting meets the requirements of the city's ordinance. Do you see anything, Tim, on that plan?
No,
And there's, yeah, I mean, you're the nearest neighbor, so you're not gonna
there
have,
wouldn't be any more lights than what we have, so that's.
yeah, so there's no lasers peering through your office or anything, so. Screening, the applicant has made adequate provisions for screening of mechanical equipment, refuse containers, and outdoor storage. Okay, and this is an industrial zone, so you've got relaxed zoning requirements for that. And there, I take it you're not gonna have any yard sales there, so that is the final item in the findings of fact that we are required to consider.
I just want to make one point on that, outdoor sales. In the draft findings of facts that I prepared, I put there will be no outdoor sales. I'm assuming from time to time you sell equipment from there.
People drive through, they'll look, it's usually picked up and delivered somewhere else,
So it's not,
parts pickup.
okay.
um,
That's what I anticipated when I wrote this, but I just,
So if we spot a for sale sign on a piece of equipment, we're calling the SWAT team. Just kidding. Okay. I believe we have satisfactorily considered the findings of fact that we are obligated to consider. Any concerns or questions about those? Hearing none, I believe we're at the point where we can suggest and ask for a suggested motion, which would include the findings of fact that we just talked about.
I move to approve the site plan application for central equipment for a 5,250 square foot equipment maintenance garage at 45 Dempsey Greaves Lane, tax map 14, lot 17A, case number 1528, with the findings of fact as outlined 1 through 20.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? And none opposed. That was, we haven't met in 6 months, we probably should have dragged this out a little further.
no, we're good.
We're good. So thank you very much and good luck with that.
For the city's progress and keep you busier in the future.
Good, that's what we like.
Can I just ask you one question? The pond,
Yep,
is that the one we used to skate on?
yeah,
When I
skate
was a
on,
kid.
catch frogs in,
Yep,
horn power
okay.
even.
I know right where it is.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good luck. Have a good evening.
Too.
Dave, do you have any new business that you want us
Wish
to
I did.
think about? I know that in the future, the planning board is gonna be heavily involved in the landfill expansion.
They are, that's a
We're
good point.
supposed to be kinda not in the middle of it, so I haven't been going to landfill advisory committee meetings or attending any of the other ones because we're supposed to
It
stay independent.
It has received its state permit. Thursday, they're delivering me 7,000 pages of application that we will begin to review this summer. What they're going to do is
But that means we're gonna go through the 7,000.
you are going through 7,000 pages. You won't have it paper form. I will have one set paper form. The clerk's office will have 2 sets of the summaries with appendices on a flash drive, as will the library. You folks are all getting tablets with all the information on it, which will be much easier. and
So they're
save
right on the tablets and we just turn them in.
everything going. They'll be presenting it on the screens. If we need larger copies, they'll make those available. But our first meeting will be with Casella, our attorney, Jim Kestevic is their attorney, and just kind of lay down the ground rules as how these hearings are going to go, as far as what we're responsible to look at. The new information that some people will wish to introduce is not gonna be allowed. It is passed, it's had its state permitting. We're reviewing for our municipality to make sure that the state took care of it. We've also had CES has gone over everything. They've already reviewed CB Mahar's work for the city. So it shouldn't be, it's gonna be lengthy, but it shouldn't be difficult. There's not a lot, other than their findings of facts, so to speak, based on all of the 7,000 papers. That's what we're basically looking at, so.
Well, I've been thinking about this as it's been creeping closer, and I was wondering, would it be appropriate to arrange, I'm assuming it would be a workshop for the planning board to educate us on the sort of things that the city is, what is the city's interest and what is it the planning board is going to be reviewing?
That's what the first initial meeting will be for.
Okay, but we're not gonna be there, right?
Yes, you will.
We are gonna be there.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the first meeting will be, I'm having a meeting with them to kind of coach me on what I need to look for.
Okay,
But then, yes, it'll all be planning board meetings.
and when is that gonna be, that first workshop?
I'm assuming
that-
late June, early July,
Okay, and that meeting is going to be.
to
for
lay down the
purpose
ground rules.
of educating us,
Correct.
so I hope everybody's up for that. Does anyone have any issues with being here for that? You know, for a series of meetings, July and August,
In
that's
September.
gonna be, I mean, your volunteers,
Depends on the
so,
day.
yeah, exactly, that's what I
Depends
was
on the
gonna say.
timeframe.
You know.
I mean, is it regular Tuesday or is it a different?
I don't
There
know.
may be 2 a month.
Yeah, but Tuesdays? Okay.
Okay,
Because I want a quorum every time if I can, and I'd like all of you. I mean, it's important to. But in the meetings that I've had with them, they want to be very precise and very accurate on what they give us, but they don't want to bombard us with all the technical details that
well, we're reviewing
I know
this-
I'm not capable of understanding.
We're reviewing this in the light of the landowner-generated landfill ordinance that the city of Old
That is
Town
correct.
has.
That is correct.
Nothing else,
Nothing else.
which covers a lot.
It does, but it's pretty well cut and dry. There's findings of facts for each phase of this is what we're gonna be looking at.
Okay,
Findings of facts, the questions are there. They just have to show that they've met that burden.
So Dave, just to get us all in that mindset, do you wanna send that ordinance out to us so we can all skim it and review it?
Yep.
I think that would help just get us, our.
Oh, yeah, we're
heads in
gonna
the
have to-
right space.
and that's why I was, and Dave's way ahead of me as usual, that we're gonna have this first educational meeting
Right.
about what it is we are gonna be considering, and the city council in their wisdom has put it all on the planning board. We're going to be the ones essentially, seeing, does it meet the ordinance?
Mhm.
Now, questions about whether there should be a landfill there in the first place are moot at this point, it's there.
What is and what is not
Yeah.
out-of-state trash,
Yeah,
no.
we,
We're not gonna
that's
talk about that.
In my understanding, that's not what we're gonna be reviewing. There may be pressures from outsiders for us to review that, but we're gonna be looking at it solely from the standpoint, as I understand it, and Dave, jump in if I'm wrong, the ordinance that we have about landfills, and that's it.
That's correct. Everything that was presented to the state, DEP, to make their findings, our findings mirror, probably, well, less stringent as far as the engineering practices, but road conditions, hours of operations, odors, that type of thing that the municipality was concerned with when they crafted the ordinance.
And will we be allowed to, I suppose we can do anything we want, we're on the planning
You're
board,
the board.
to consider the history so far from Casella of operating the landfill. you know, and,
Is that relevant to
think so.
whether or not it complies with the ordinance?
well, it's matters of odor and operation and, you know, water quality. issues.
There is sections in there on how they control their odor within the ordinance, yes.
But I wouldn't think it would contemplate what's happened, it's what they're projecting is going to happen.
Correct.
You know, go
So we
forward.
don't, right, I mean, I think that the first day is the first day, not, what did you do yesterday? Is that,
That's the way, yes. Because what they're operating right now was already approved.
right, is the.
But you do have the opportunity to look at, is traffic an issue? Is odor an issue? If it is, then they will explain to you what they put in place.
To mitigate
take
that,
care of-
yeah. Is the ordinance actually gonna be loaded onto the tablets as well?
I don't
For-
believe so.
Is
Can we
it,
get it?
because I'm just wondering if it would be easy to
I can get
reference
you
it.
the ordinance.
It's not that big.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, the ordinance.
Okay.
I do want to go back to Ted's point, so a little bit of a regression analysis in relation to what they've done compared to the requirements of the ordinance. To have those questions, to say, okay, in the past, this is what happened, this is what you did, talk to us about and go forward to make sure that you stay within these parameters. Is that really
Yeah, that's
what you were
what I'm-
talking?
Well, first
Okay.
off, I'm assuming that we will probably have a few more, you know, butts and seats than we do tonight.
In all honesty, I don't know if that ordinance was written before the landfill went there.
No.
I think
So it was after the fact.
I think everything, well, I know in the zoning ordinance, until they came to us for an expansion, that ordinance basically doesn't exist in my zoning ordinance.
Okay,
But that ordinance was written with those events in mind. There were several things that happened
Correct.
back in the James River days that were,
So now,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know that ordinance, other than once they come to us.
I'd like to be assured, number one, right up front, that the same thing that happened when James River first built the thing, and they had that huge dewatering, you weren't here then, and they flooded Route 43. I mean, they had a major rain event, but they had denuded the entire site, and then they had this huge rain event. It was a huge siltation event. I'd like to know what their plan is to make sure that doesn't happen again, because they're gonna be clearing a lot of land. And the drainage is similar.
And they're not really clearing it. They're moving out what is already cleared land.
Well,
Remember when we went
they're
in?
essentially doubling the size of the footprint, right?
No,
69 acres to 110, 100 and,
no, I don't
not
believe
quite
so.
doubling.
No, I don't believe that's right. But
Does
Okay,
it, does it,
well, obviously, that's what we need to be educated
that's what you
about.
need to do.
does it make sense for us to consider doing a site, like, to go? To get our heads around, like, the scope of this thing is the biggest thing we've ever done.
Oh, absolutely.
So, does it make sense for us to have an actual meeting, if you will, which is, we go and get the.
It has to be a public meeting.
Right,
Right.
but I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I went there once and it was years ago.
I
Because-
went
because
there
we-
a couple of years ago on a tour.
We went last fall on a tour.
We can go, any two of us on the planning board can go together, but any more than two, it has to be a public meeting. So maybe we do it in shifts.
Well, and I've done that in the past. We have a public meeting and we set a hearing date, and that's where the location takes place.
I think it'd be a good idea. You guys agree? And it'd be worth setting up a public meeting, which.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to try and set that after we have our informational meeting?
Yeah, sure.
So we'll have the informational meeting,
I think it's
pick a
good
date
idea.
that we
And
can
then
all
come up with a
do
day
that.
We all go as a whole board?
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they'll do a bus for us and.
sure.
I think it makes sense to get a sense of what it is that we're supposed to be looking at.
I mean, for the original landfill, they flew the planning board to New York State.
Yeah, I don't wanna do that.
I don't want to do that, but they did. They flew us to a landfill out there and you know, it was interesting. We went to tour the landfill, which was very well run. and this truck came down the road, and it was, the trash was dumping out of it as we're driving up, and it was spilling out everywhere. So they had a crew that would go out and respond to things just like that and clean it up real quick. And we got to see them in action.
Oh, yeah.
They were embarrassed. It was some, truck that was bringing it in. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to be. So, that was interesting.
I will tell you, you have two chances to do it right at Casella, or you don't truck there anymore.
Yeah,
They are very, very strict about that.
yeah. And they have been about the weights. I've seen that in the monthly reports.
They are very strict with that.
So
You deodorize coming in, you deodorize going out. If they catch you driving out, they take down your number, call the company you're working for, say if they do it again, you don't haul here.
yeah.
So I mean, it's a landfill and nobody really wants it in their community, but from an operational standpoint,
Yeah,
they do a very nice job.
I think they
feel.
have. I've toured it many times with Jamie and with Tony and yeah, I think they're running it. I just assume it wasn't there either, but if it's gonna be there, then it's gotta meet our ordinance. That's the only
Right.
thing we have to consider, and we're supposed to be impartial about it, so.
Tomorrow I will print out ordinance and get them out to you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that.
I will have to recluse myself from this section.
But is Sergeant working on it?
We have done all the construction up there, so I don't think it's right for me to be involved in decision-making for that.
Well played.
If it was in the winter, he'd be all for it. No, that's understandable,
Yep, it is.
Yeah, I
because there's
certainly,
a constant presence.
I mean,
Sergeant
I'm
there.
sure you'd be objective as far as ordinance is concerned, but for the appearances, I think it makes sense to recuse yourself. So,
So we can't recuse based on the summer season.
I would if we could,
Little levity.
yes.
I expected that Tim would, have that concern, and I appreciate that. Does anyone else have any concerns as far as any conflicts?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to work for James River, but I think that's a long time ago, so I don't think there's any conflict there.
I think the review will go smoother than I'm anticipating it to go very smooth, because I've been working with it for a while, and they've answered all the questions, and it's now for you folks to look at their information, read the finding of fact, does it meet it or not, and
Well, we're gonna, obviously, the informational meeting will be important, but I would like to ask you, Dave, as a code enforcement officer and our liaison, to keep us focused on the ordinance.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I don't think we're gonna have the usual, it's gonna be as contentious as it was for the first time, but
I don't know.
I don't know either, but either way, it would be easy to get sidetracked.
That's what we can do. And Jim Castaficas will definitely do that for us.
All right, well, that's good, I'm glad he'll be there
Yeah.
as well. So,
He knows everything landfill. And he's our attorney, he's protecting our interests. And
So a question, should I attend the meetings or not attend the meetings?
I don't see why you shouldn't attend. When it comes to a vote, you can recuse, you can be part of the discussions and conversation, but if you,
Yeah, I don't see why
if
you
you
can't.
feel that need, then just recuse yourself from any votes. Because it'd be good to have your input because of the industry that you're in.
so it would, then there's no objection for anybody that Tim would be a member of the board, it's just that he would recuse himself from the actual vote?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that in other cases,
Yeah, that's up to Tim.
issues of recusal, I mean, you're supposed to get right up and leave the room, but I don't think that's
It's not
necessary.
that type of situation.
I don't, yeah.
So,
There's no direct monetary
Right.
value to Tim.
Yeah. So, and it's, yeah, I serve on some other boards where when you recuse, you're supposed to leave the room. But I don't think that's necessary. I wanted to get that all out on the
Nope, that's
record.
perfect.
So that, because I certainly value Tim's knowledge.
Absolutely. This is, I say it all the time, I'll say it again, I've got a great planning board. There's a lot of expertise in different areas, and
Yeah. no.
I appreciate it.
Well, good. Well, I wanted to, that was a question I had, and
Yep.
and I'm glad we're all here to discuss it at the same time. So with that, are there any other old or new business that?
Reading the minutes, so the Dollar General's been canceled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it still in motion to go to Milford, though?
As far as I know, yes.
Is it soon, or we don't know?
I don't know. They're getting ready. They are getting ready because the code officer over there called me to get in touch with the water department to see who we needed to talk to make sure they could provide enough water for the store, which obviously we can, so. So it's getting ready to get to that stage, but from the city manager's explanation to me was they just were getting too many sooner than they thought they were going to be ready for. They're flooding the market, and it's not supporting it, so,
Yeah.
like they thought it was going to.
Yeah, certainly, it seemed like, at the old school there, it seemed like an odd place to put something like that. I mean, it's fine if they wanted to do it, but it seemed like, to me, to be an odd place.
Are there any more developments in that old school at all? Anybody, any interest or not? Because I noticed that the windows are always open in it.
He may be going in, because he was gonna he wanted to keep a lot of the woodwork and that kind of thing, so he may be slowly dismantling it from the inside out.
Oh, with the ultimate thought of tearing it all down?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't talked with him in quite a while.
Yeah, who owns that now?
Everett machine.
Thank you.
Can I ask also, this?
I forgot.
It doesn't have anything to do with approving or not approving this last one we just did, but I noticed that the building had setbacks from Dempsey Graves Lane. That's a private way, right? So does that still apply if it's a private way? That'd be like me having to have a setback from my own driveway, right? I mean, if he was 10 feet from that instead of 20 feet, does it really matter?
Had it been that case, I'd have looked at it, but no, you're right, it's a private drive.
Okay, but I mean, they were following the setbacks like we have, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
Just from my own point of reference, in case we ever get anybody else that does something like that.
So they didn't have to.
He didn't have to-
No, I would say if it's a private way,
I mean, I didn't think it would be necessary to say that in front of them, but I just thought
No.
I'd ask. And-
and it basically just gives them some setbacks if they want to
Yeah,
store
I mean, I'm
things out
familiar
in
with the
front of it
site,
or what.
but-
Because you look at their shop now, the driveway's there and the equipment's,
Yeah, I'm familiar with the site, but I just didn't, I get asking that question myself, because I do know that a lot of the private roads that we have in town do have the names on them now, and they'll say private under them and so forth. But I don't know who's developing what sometimes at the end of those roads, so.
yeah, that goes back to when E911.
Yeah.
Any
right,
private driveway that could support
mhm,
2 or more
Right,
dwellings on it had
Yeah.
to become.
Yeah.
And I haven't built anything on private roads, but
yeah, I was just curious.
I would encourage meeting setback, because at some point in time, they may come to the city and want,
Yeah,
we want to build this road to city standards and have you take it over. So
well, at one time, I don't know if it's still relevant or not, I think Tim was on and I was on, and I don't know who else, but there was street commissioners. But we haven't done anything since
Haven't built
way
any
before
roads.
Charlie and stuff, and
yeah.
so,
Back in the day.
yeah.
Back in the day. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I think it's unanimous.
We have to sign this site
Yes.
plan?